Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining our show. Jenna, what the heck's going on today?
Hey, it is a rainy day here in Northern Virginia.
Yes, it is.
But we've got some great folks lined up today to talk. I think we're going to be comparing existing and new construction and maybe delve into a little market update. Give a quick intro to everybody here. For those of you that my name is listed as Unscripted Real Estate Show, but I'm actually Jenna Charpentier. I work behind the scenes for the JS Realty team. I keep the social media wheels churning and do all of their marketing when I'm not traveling the world. I just returned from Greece and I am very much looking forward to go back.
I bet you are.
We have Jeff Taylor, our Northern Virginia OG and our triple threat, which means he's a realtor, a property manager, and a Class A contractor. Jeff, I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you a fun fact about yourself.
Oh boy, fun fact. I have a dog, a 2-year-old dog, and when I got him, my favorite player on the Nationals was Juan Soto. So I named the dog Soto. We've tagged him. My wife and I have tagged him a couple times in posts and so forth. And I'm pretty sure that Juan Soto himself is aware that there's a little Soto named after him. So anyway, fast forward a couple years, the Nats decided that they were going to trade him. So they traded him to the Padres. And I am determined that I will always wear my Soto jersey, not for the former player anymore, but because my dog's name is Soto. So that jersey now represents, my dog's name more so than the player.
That is absolutely a fun fact, Jeff. And let's add context to that. As a household, because Jeff is my husband, we have decided that we are not naming our pets after famous athletes until they've stopped playing.
Yeah, retired players only. So
then you're safe.
Yep.
We've restricted things to retired players only. Too bad we didn't have this rule before because we might have a dog named Zim.
Right, or Riggins, or anything, any DC players.
Thanks for that fun fact.
Well, we also have today Alyssa Fall from our Simmons Sisters team at Draper Kramer Mortgage, and we are super thankful to have her on the show today because she's getting ready to have baby number 3 any day now.
Yep.
Any day. She was kind of
literally any day.
So we're glad you're here, Alyssa. Thank you.
Happy to be here.
We have a new addition to our show and to the Simmons Sisters team, Jenna Carpaccia. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Okay, great. She's another Nova OG, and she's been in the lending world for over 11 years. And I hear in her spare time, she chases around after her ninja son.
I do.
What's a quick fun fact about you?
Well, speaking of my son, and we're talking about names, I did not name him after any sports person by any means. Almost close, but he's actually named after a show. I got his name from the show Dexter on Showtime. I was in love with the show, but not in love with the name Dexter. So I named him after Dexter's son, Harrison, in the show.
Oh, that's cool.
And it fits him very well.
No idea. That's a great fun fact. I had no idea about that. That's awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, Jenna. We're super happy to have you on the show today. Welcome. And we're the Unscripted Real Estate Show. So Jenna, I guess maybe you're looking to intro me before I get going with this show.
Yes, I want to let everybody know about Miss Sarah Taylor, who has been in the real estate industry for 18 plus years now. So it's safe to say we call her our expert realtor, especially in the local Northern Virginia market. She's also an entrepreneur, an activist, and an all-around badass boss lady. Do you have a fun fact about yourself, Miss?
A fun fact about myself.
She has a dog named Soto.
And we now have a new rule in the house about naming pets after athletes. A fun fact, Soto keeps me running. He keeps me on my toes. That is the truth. And not too long ago, he had me running through 82 acres of forest. And when I say forest, I mean mountainous forest, while he took a jaunt in the woods. And I promptly chased him as much as I could because I was scared to lose sight of him. So he keeps me on my toes and he is a lot of fun, but I ended up with quite a few blackberry bush scratches. In fact, I was covered from thigh to ankle, no kidding, on both legs,
Oh my
scratched to
gosh.
death. So everybody was laughing but me in that moment.
Not quite so much a fun fact, but
Well, fun for Soto,
yeah,
that's
right.
for sure. He had a blast and returned home promptly about 20 minutes later. So we were happy to have him home. But yeah, my fun fact for the day.
So getting to our topic today, what would be the pros and cons of existing versus new construction in terms of like buyers looking to, because right now there's still no inventory. And so what if I say, scrap it, I'm not going to look for a house, I just want to build one?
That is a phenomenal question. So the question is, pros and cons of buying new construction versus an existing home. And I think it's an important topic, and I think it's one people wonder about a lot. Also, I think people add their own narrative to the conversation. They add what they want out of the situation and maybe not always what the truth is. So I think there is a little bit of when I work with buyers and they're talking about the difference between new construction and existing construction, I do believe sometimes we might fantasize that new construction is a little bit better than it might be, and we forget about some of the things that could come up. But I'd love to open this conversation up. First, let's start with the real estate side of it, and then we'll roll right into mortgage side of it. But Jeff, what say you in reference to your opinion on what buyers' perception is versus what reality is around new construction versus existing homes?
Buyer's perception, probably accurate. I love both. I love helping buyers buy existing homes and new construction as well. There's benefits and negatives to both of them, but I think they're both overall beneficial. I think overall that they're both exciting purchases. New construction, obviously you get to pick out your finishes. Most of the builders have a quite extensive design center. You can go pick out your faucets and your doorknobs and your colors, and maybe you do a media room, finish the basement. Builders offer lots of options. Even lots, if you get in early enough, you can have your choice of lot. That's fun. Negatives would be, it's a construction neighborhood, most likely. There's other homes being built, so you may move in and still deal with a little bit of construction and things of that sort. Things that will pass, but initially it could be a bit of a headache to deal with that. And a lot of times, during those times, there's nails that you pick up on the road in your tires, and streets that haven't been capped and things like that. But I still think, I would enjoy purchasing a new construction home and just deal with those things until they're over, and it's just kind of something that goes along with it. As far as the buying an existing home, a lot of those things are done. The home is most likely going to be set in an established neighborhood, maybe more mature trees, sidewalks finished, streets finished, things like that. Downside may be that you have some maintenance items that are coming up because the home is a little older. Maybe it's going to need a roof in 5 years, or a new construction isn't going to need a roof for 25 years or more. Appliances, things like that. Some upgrades that may need to be done. So that would probably be my thoughts. And in speaking with buyers, I think those are some thoughts that they've had as well.
All really, really great points. Thanks for sharing, Jeff. I definitely agree with you about everything being shiny and new and not having to worry about maintenance on items that are newer for that new construction. And I've even heard, there's some people out there that will only buy new construction. They want to be the first person to use that toilet. And they want to know what's happened to that toilet while they've been there. So, it can get just as, micro as that for somebody as to why they want new construction, why they prefer new construction over existing construction. But maybe you're not into landscaping. Existing construction, you can walk in and someone may have spent years landscaping their yard, having the perfect tree in the backyard and having all of the flower beds set. Maybe you enjoy those things, but you didn't want to pay to put them in. Things like decks, patios, blinds, all of those things in existing construction are generally handled and taken care of. And you don't need to think about financing for those options. So, definitely some additional pros and cons there. But believe it or not, there's some variations even when the lending side of it comes into play. And so I'd love to lean in. Alyssa, Jenna, what say you when it comes to lending world, new construction versus existing home?
Sure. Well, first off, before I get started, I'm just going to throw out there, I am one of those people who is very particular about what's been happening in my bathroom. I bought a new construction. And I will say it's really nice knowing I'm the only person besides my husband that has showered in my shower. So I'm just going to say, but as far as pros and cons for new versus existing in the mortgage side, I guess I'll start with existing construction first. Obviously we can accommodate a really quick closing. Typically, you see a contract for 21 to 30 days, but we can, in emergency situations or really competitive situations, close in as little as 14 days. So you can get into the house really quickly. It allows you to be really aggressive with your interest rate lock because you can lock in something right then and there. Typically, rate locks for shorter periods of time are less expensive. So overall, you get a better interest rate locked in and you're basically set to go. As for new construction, it varies a little bit, right? So you get all the nice things, you get to pick and choose your finishes, but in a lot of cases, especially when we saw during the height of the pandemic with supply chain issues, your construction can go on for months and months and months. Sometimes, there are some properties that are still being built that went under contract a year and a half ago. It just depends. It depends on the builder. It depends on the specs. It depends on the materials. It depends on the location. All those things kind of factor in. And how that can affect your mortgage is obviously, we constantly talk about the market changing, interest rates going up versus down. If you're in a new construction contract, you may not necessarily be in a position to be able to lock in your interest rate. We at Draper and Kramer offer extended rate lock options as far as 360 days. So basically a full year worth of interest rate locks, but those tend to get very expensive. So a lot of times you're going to run into, if you want to lock in your rate and protect yourself in case the market is going haywire, you're going to pay an upfront deposit, which could be as much as 1% of your loan amount. And that is to secure the rate lock for a full year, basically, with the investor. Some other things to consider is once you lock in a rate, you're pretty much locked in. There's not a whole lot of wiggle room to renegotiate the interest rate in most cases. So let's say the flip side happens, you lock in your rate and the rates end up going down right before you close. Well, then you're stuck with a higher interest rate. And then let's just kind of throw in a third scenario where you opt not to lock until you have a firm settlement date. So within 30 to 60 days, the interest rate could be 2% higher than what you were initially quoted. It could even disqualify you in some cases. You just never know. So definitely some cons on top of the pros of buying new construction, some things to consider. On the lending side, I would just make sure if you are looking at new construction to make sure you budget accordingly, plan for contingencies in case the market is not looking so favorable, and definitely talk to a lender to get an idea on both waiting to lock and locking for an extended period of time.
Definitely a time to stay in touch with your lender, stay in touch with your realtor, with all the ups and downs. Alyssa, those were fabulous points. I hadn't even really thought about the fact that, the supply chain has slowed some things down for people, and they're ending up in interest rates they didn't anticipate being in. So understanding what your options are and what the cost is upfront versus on the backside. Now, I had a question for you. You used the word deposit in reference to a loan lock. Is it a deposit that it's refundable, or is it a deposit that applies towards your down payment, or is it a deposit like we pay?
Well, you do pay out of pocket, so it's not something that just it doesn't get tacked on in most cases at settlement. So you do pay it out of pocket at the time of locking your interest rate. Whether or not it's refundable is going to vary from lender to lender. So with Draper and Kramer, we do offer it to be refundable. So it is credited towards your closing costs at the end of the transaction. So you pay it up front. It's the same thing with your earnest money deposit. It goes towards your bottom line at settlement. But our contingency is you have to close with Draper and Kramer. If you cancel the loan because you found a better rate, or cancel your application or cancel your contract because you no longer wish to purchase the property, unfortunately, and this is investor requirements, it's not even a Draper and Kramer requirement, but typically if you cancel, that deposit becomes non-refundable. So that's the one kind of offside. So if you're going to go into an extended lock, you probably will want to make sure you're okay with paying the deposit and then potentially losing it if you cancel your contract for whatever reason.
Great minor detail that could mean a lot for somebody. So also understanding, what you're getting into. So what I heard from you was there's a lot more control and stability around an existing home. So if you are in a position of needing certainty right now, knowing when your settlement date is going to be, knowing when you can actually move in, securing a home by a certain date, existing construction is probably going to be your a better option. I'm not saying that new construction is a bad option, but if you're looking for certainty and you're looking for control of the process, I think existing construction is going to be the way to go for you. If you're flexible, though, there's a lot of new construction going on in our area. These homes they're putting up now are gorgeous. The packages that they're involving and allowing you guys or buyers to choose from are just amazing. And there's nothing like having the best of new and of what would you say, like modern fashion for a home as far as decor goes. That's always exciting as well. It's been a bit of a bumpy ride since we last met, and since that time, interest rates have done something, and I'm not sure I'm in love with what they're doing, but this is part of the process. We've been talking about this all year. We figured we were going to peak sometime in the fall. That's been part of this conversation. So no surprise, we are just playing out what we thought was already coming. So I don't think any of us should be shocked. I think we all just need to know that we need to hold on, be in touch with our professionals right now, and making sure that we're having open, honest, clear conversations about what's going on in the market. So Alyssa or Jenna, who would like to give us an update as to what's going on with interest rates and the market these days?
Oh, Alyssa, you can go ahead.
You want me to go ahead? Okay. So, well, anybody who's been paying attention to finances or has been watching pretty much any news outlet can kind of gather from yesterday's Fed meeting. The Feds have opted to increase short-term interest rates, or the benchmark rate, by another 75 basis points. That is the third increase this year, and all three of them have been by 75 basis points. What does that mean for mortgage interest rates? Well, historically speaking, they're supposed to be good for mortgage interest rates in the long term, but we are not seeing history repeat itself, unfortunately. This is kind of an anomaly. A lot of investors are having knee-jerk reactions to the Fed's announcement yesterday. So we are seeing a very volatile market today. We were hoping for a little bit of relief after a consistent 2-week rate hike from most investors. But unfortunately, it doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon. So we're all kind of sitting on pins and needles, waiting to see if we can gather a little bit of relief, see interest rates come down a little bit as we enter the fall market. But right now, it's anybody's guess as to what's going to happen over the next 60 to 90 days.
I hear you. And, one of the things that we've been jokingly saying is, you want to date your mortgage and marry your home. So what that means, and one of my favorite things about working with you ladies at Draper and Kramer, is that you guys offer a phenomenal refinance program. So don't be nervous. If you have a need to move, you have a need to purchase something right now, relax a little bit, especially if you're working with the Simmons Sisters team, because they have a phenomenal program that, now correct me if I'm wrong, Alyssa, but up to 18 months, should the interest rates drop significantly, I think it's 0.5% or more, then Draper and Kramer will refinance your loan at no cost. So sometimes when you refinance, there are fees that are involved, but for no cost, you have nothing to lose and I promise, well, I don't have a crystal ball, but my best guess is by December, January, interest rates are going to be back down 0.5%. So even if you're purchasing now at these interest rates, it's okay. Make sure you're working with a fabulous team. Make sure you're educating yourself and working in programs that, aren't going to cost you a lot as far as refinancing down the road. So did I miss anything there, Alyssa?
No, well, I do want to point out, so it's actually a little bit better than what you had said. Rates just have to drop by 0.25%, not 0.5%. So that's even better.
Yeah.
And a lot of times what happens is our clients, every time we do a transaction, that 18-month window or that clock restarts. So just for example, let's say you purchase with us, we lock in a certain rate, and within 18 months, the rates drop by 0.25%. Well, great. We can exercise the free refinance offer or promotion that we give to all of our clients. The minute that you close that free refinance, the 18-month window starts again. So if rates continue to drop, which we're all hoping is going to happen, right? Then you just take advantage of that and you just continuously do free refinances. It's absolutely no cost to you. And you just chase the rates now, which we have a lot of clients. We've had a lot of clients do that over the years, as we go through these peaks and valleys of the market and whatever it wants to do. But it's a great promotion. A lot of people really love it. And like I said, just 0.25% difference, it can make a huge difference in your payment. And of course you get it all for free, covered by the Simmons Sisters.
I mean, what do you have to lose? If things are looking like what we dream that they will look like, I think December, January, we'll start to see things correct a little bit. And you could be right back in a position of finding yourself refinancing in the 5s. I don't think that that's insane to think that could happen for us. And it's Northern Virginia. We continue to remain in a housing shortage. Supply is very low. Demand is very high. I'll give you a perfect example of that. Jeff and I actually showed some interest in a property recently for our own purchasing purposes. In 4 days, she had 7 offers. And their decision day was Monday. And so, as far as locking in, someone locked in, or maybe someone had cash and interest rates didn't matter. But 7 offers is a lot of offers in this type of a market. So for the right home, homes are still moving. Homes are still getting multiple offers, especially if they're in phenomenal shape and great locations. We continue to remain in a situation where we have more buyers than we do sellers, and our market needs more homes to come on the market. So if you're in the market for purchasing a home, now's not a really bad time, especially if you're partnering up with the Simmons Sisters team and using their ability to refinance you. It sounds like for up to the next 2 or 3 years if you play the cards right. So this is the Unscripted Real Estate Show. We're here without a script. We're talking real-time real estate with real professionals. So I want to thank Jenna Barbaccia for joining us for her first show today. First, but not last, we look forward to having you on the show again soon.
Thank you, Sarah.
And what did you think? Since this was your first show, how was it?
I thought it was great. There's a lot of good information. I think you're putting it out there, and it's good stuff to know. It's very helpful.
Awesome. Well, if you're anything like me, every show I learn something new myself. And so I am only hopeful that our audience is learning as well. Jeff, thank you for joining us with your expert real estate experiences behind you, understanding all things real estate, property management, and construction. Alyssa, as always a pleasure getting a market update from you. And Jenna Charpentier, this show doesn't happen without you. So thank you for hosting today in absence of Martha. And to our audience, thanks for joining us. We hope you learned something new today. Comment to us in the comments if you have a further question, or if you want to reach out, you can reach the Simmons Sisters at SimmonsSisters.com. Is that sisters plural?
Yes.
SimmonsSistersPlural.com. Or if you have need for real estate information or questions, you can find Jeff, Beth, or myself at JSRealty, 4, U.com. Thanks for joining us and have a great day.